Hello everyone, welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry, a blue dot in a red state utilizing tarot to offer insight into these very interesting times we have going on here in the United States. So I'm really glad that you're here and welcome. So the focus of today's reading is going to be a Trump health reading with a twist. And there really is going to be a reading. So yes, I'm going to be using the first part of this reading as a teaching reading. And then I'm going to do like another full spread reading at the end of this. I will put a link, or I will put it in the description, like where that reading starts. If you're like, I don't care to learn tarot, I just want the reading. Okay, well, I'll put that in the description below, so that way you can just skip to that part. So for those of you wanting classes, I've really been putting a lot of thought into that, and where I'm kind of landing is to have self-paced videos, and then going back to Facebook, only you guys in tarot could get me back on Facebook. And so, but specifically utilizing that space for good, and it would be for small group practice, is kind of what I'm looking at. So if you're interested, please email me. I would like to know like who all's interested. Because I want to kind of keep this first class like small. I think the small groups are going to be kind of where that's going to be where that special sauce is the feedback that you guys will get from me and from each other. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at. And once again, small groups, self-paced. It's like I may have something, like exercises to do, and you can choose to do them or not. Okay. I mean, it really is your practice and like what it is that you want, to get out of that. So if you would send me an email, I promise I'm not going to spam you I do not have time for that. So I'm busy enough trying to get these classes put together. So yeah, just drop me an email. That way I kind of have a list. I'm thinking of keeping it to about 25. So that's kind of, and I've already reached out to some of you. I may have missed some of you who said, hey, I want a class. So if you're interested, and this is just an interest thing. So anyway, enough of that. I want to get into this reading that I did. I want to give you a peek into my own private tarot work. So my tarot mentor, Linda, who, if you want a reading from her, in the page description is her contact information. She's phenomenal. Okay, so anyway, she is the one who, she was like, hey, I've been playing with the Wiser Tarot, and this works out really well for health readings. I was like, okay. And so she went through stuff, and we kind of, 99% of the stuff is hers. So whenever I said I helped in brainstorming, I came up with like a couple of things, and the rest of it is hers. But she called me, and she was telling me this stuff, and I was trying to grab paper. The only thing I have is like this little, I don't even know what all that's on there. It's just like, I had like Post-it notes. So I grabbed that and was like writing stuff down. So, I mean, like real technical here, And, so what I wanted to do in my own private work is I've been wanting to really play with these cards and do it from the viewpoint of health. Well, who do I know that has health issues that I could be practicing this on? Oh, that would be Trump. There is a whole host of ethical considerations when doing health readings, like for somebody, like in person. One is you're not a doctor, and even if you are a doctor, don't use tarot for that. What tarot does is it will lead you into a direction. It can let you know, helping a person navigate, maybe possibilities and options that they need to discuss with their doctor. Okay, so I'm going to put that there, and I'm just going to leave that a pin in that, because doing health readings, unless there are some phenomenal health intuitives out there and people who can do phenomenal, tarot readings on that. So, I don't want to say that's a rarity, but I mean, you guys know, like the medical intuitives, and they are just like spot on. Generally, most people are going to have that as their specialty. So that's why I was practicing, and I want to show you kind of like what I did in this reading and what I got in this reading, how phenomenal this reading actually turned out to be. Because when I laid these cards out and really got into it, I was like, oh crap, this is a really good reading, even though I'm practicing. And I wanted to share the practice reading with you. And then, as I said, I'll go into like actually, picking all these up, shuffling, and doing another spread on this. So with that being said, I'm going to pull you guys down here so you can see what I got in this. Okay, so what I did was I laid out just, my modified Celtic cross spread here. So, and I'll kind of go through what I got here. So the center was the Three of Wands, looking out into the future, ships coming in. The Six of Wands is victory. So looking out into the future, the challenge was going to be the victory that was going to, enable going out into the future. Okay, so whatever, there was something needing to happen for this. And the challenge is, whatever it is, so the victory is not actually assured in this because it comes up in the challenge position. Okay. And then our options is the Eight of Pentacles, working on something, mastery. That's working on something, and mastery is kind of how I see that one. The World card, accomplishing, finishing up. In health readings, this is probably the bigger indicator of somebody no longer being part of this earthly realm. Okay, so this is kind of the more of a checking out card, just because you've got like the completing a circle, completing a journey. It's the last card in the major arcana, and this does not always mean that you are exiting this world. It just means that whatever it is that you are working towards, you have accomplished. And so now it's time to like kind of move on to the next thing. What's the next journey? What's the next step in your growth in whatever it is you're doing? That's that card. Okay. The past is, or recent influences, is the Nine of Swords. This is one of anxiety, stress. Okay. Can mean nightmares. And then here is, this is winning at all costs. I always see this as a hollow victory. It's more like, especially if you've got a lot of wands coming up, like the Ace of Wands, the bully wand, and that would indicate someone being a bully. So this is just it's like a hollow victory. What did you actually win kind of card. Okay, so if I was just kind of doing this, it's like, okay, in just a basic health reading, there's something that's not, there's questions about what's going to work, and I'm going to see this as options about a treatment plan. And I mean, this is like a serious concern. There's a lot of worry about whether or not these treatment options are even going to work, and it looks like there's going to be a struggle. Okay, and that's actually that's a pretty good reading. So now to get deeper, and this is where when you use the symbology and you really look at the cards, this is where you're going to get some really interesting details. So when I started looking at this, what stood out to me was the pairs. So here you've got somebody holding on to a wand and then two wands behind them. And not to mention, this is like you're seeing the back of this person. So here was two, holding on to one, but then two wands. Here was holding on to a wand, and then here's two wands behind him. And look, it's the same cloak of how can I be victorious? What is it? The ship's coming in. But once again, the two wands behind him, two wands behind him. With this card, here are is this the eight? Yeah, the eight or six finished pentacles, two that aren't finished, two that aren't even colored in. And that's one reason, the Wiser Tarot, one reason this works so well is that the colors are very different. In the traditional Rider-Waite, there's no difference between the pentacles. They're all just the same. So that's why I was like, oh, these two really stand out. They're not finished. And then as I was looking at this card, what stood out was the storm clouds, and looky here, there's two not finished. Swords. So if you're just like in just normal, regular, not doing health tarot, swords can be anything medical, anything legal, military, and action. And I joke saying, I know that covers a lot of things, but there's only 4 suits. So each suit is going to like encompass kind of a broader general meaning. And then you got to determine like in the reading, like what is this card? What are we talking about here? And since I'm specifically working on health, I am going to read this as health. So this is like something like people just walk, like giving up. That's kind of what I'm feeling with this, is just wanting to give up. And, you know, just the 2 swords here that aren't even being used. These people just walked away. Here's the water back here. So a lot of emotions about, a lot of big feels about this, and then the storm clouds and that cloudy sky. If you look, like this is a brighter sky, you know, the bright sky, and then this has got more of the blues in it, and then this one's got the storm clouds. And I've pointed that out too in previous readings, just doing readings looking at the storm clouds and the progression of, oh look, it was a happy sunny day, and then you've got, you know, like storm clouds. So with that, let me pull you back down here. So what I did was I pulled these aside, and I was looking, and I kind of I rearranged these. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to tell you guys. You could do, and as I said, just like I did the basic reading, and, you know, I didn't move cards around. I didn't really rely too much on the symbology. I just relied on the basic meanings of the card, and that was a decent reading. What I'm showing you is how you take that basic reading to that next level and using the symbology in the cards to get more details. So, and as I said, doing what I did at the beginning, that was a perfectly good reading. I want to now take it to the next level, and that's what I want to now go to 11, and that's what I'm showing you guys here. And what I was saying with that is, in order to do that, you got to be okay moving the cards around. It's okay to do that. Just because a card came up in a position doesn't mean it has to stay there. You really can move the cards around. In fact, I encourage that. Like, you know, okay, so like, let's look at these 2 cards. How can you connect? I'm not going to do it right here, but this would be an example. Like, how can you connect these 2? Is there any similarities? Are there any differences? Well, you've got 3 wands. There's 3 swords. There's 2 wands behind. There's 2 swords on the ground. So, I mean, like, there's water here. There's water there. Here's the back of people walking away, the back of the person here. And then narrating, like, how can you tie these 2 together? Okay. So that's kind of, and I, as I said, I just picked up 2 random cards and did that. You could do that with any 2 random cards. Real quick, while I'm thinking about it, if you are just starting with tarot, just work with the major arcana. Just do the major arcana. Don't worry about the Celtic cross. Just put out like 3 cards, or just work with 1 card, work with a couple of cards. Because what happens is people, they buy a deck, they get a book, or maybe they're just using that little white pamphlet, and they lay out this big complicated spread, and they start looking up the meanings of the cards. And how do I know this? Because I did this myself. And it was like, you start looking up the meanings, and then by the 3rd card, you give up because none of it makes sense, and you just put it away in a drawer. Does that sound familiar? It does for me. And so it really does take, you just don't do that. Don't, you know, that is a very frustrating way to learn how to do tarot. And I don't know how many people are really successful past that, you know, initial, you know, this is too hard and complicated. So that's why start with just, you know, 2 or 3 cards. Start with just the major arcana, and you really work with those cards. That's why my level 1 class will just be major arcana. We're going to be doing just major arcana. And even if you're like, well, I'm more advanced than major arcana, it's okay. Go get a new deck, get a different deck. I'm thinking about I'm going to take my own class using the Mythic Tarot and my Sacred Rose Tarot decks, because I want to get like a better understanding with those. It's been a while since I've used both of those, and so I just want to, you know, refamiliarize myself with those. So I'll be doing that same thing with my, you know, in my own class with just a couple of variety of decks. So back to this. So it was like, okay, well, here is a victory. Okay, so this is the victory card, and we've got these 2 wands here. So something's telling me that 2 is important for some reason. And then I started noticing, what my tarot mentor said was that wands in health is going to be, think of IVs, think of bones. Okay, so that's kind of where, IVs, bones. Okay, Pentacles is going to be the treatment plan. And then Swords, what is she? I got to look at my little pile of Post-it notes here. What did she say for Swords? Is surgery, needles, pain. Yeah, pain, needles, surgery. Okay. And then the Wands, bones. And then there was like what all the different colors can mean. Okay. So let me see what else I got here. Oh, that was tiny. So something with the veins. Okay, and look, these people, they're holding on to this one wand. Okay, so that's telling me that he's getting, and we see the bruising on his hands, that he's been getting those intravenous infusions of, whatever it is to keep him going. I mean, I don't know what it is that they're giving him, but it's, yeah. So this, I started thinking, you know what? I think that he has a treatment plan, but he's not going to finish the last 2 treatments. He has a treatment plan, but he's not going to finish the last 2 treatments. This is like the third to the last treatment is the last one that he'll be getting. And that there's 2 left in the treatment plan for him to do, but he doesn't get to it. This is remember I said hollow victory, a lot of big fields, the storm weather, people just walk away, they give up. He's not getting those last 2 treatments. Here is the one, and he's holding one sword right here that's like not even being used properly. Like these, he technically is like at least somewhat holding it like you would use it. This one isn't even being used. So there's something that happens to that third to the last treatment that makes it to where he doesn't finish the final 2. And you got the storm clouds here. And with this of how, looking out into the future, being hopeful, this is one, and you see this yellow. It's like the yellow is one of confidence. It's one of hope, this kind of orangey yellow. Think of those first 3 chakras, which I always think like really physical chakras, the red for the root chakra, the orange for the second chakra, and then you've got the solar plex chakra, which is yellow. And so you see a lot of this here. So a lot of physical stuff going on, a lot of, like this is his, physical body, with what's going on. The green here is going to be the heart chakra, and truth, like there's hope in that this would work. That's the way I would read that. And the water, ships coming in. This is a card of hope, but then you look, this is actually pretty similar in that, we no longer have confidence. Hope is fading because that green is really kind of dingy. And then you've got the yellow with the fluid buildup, the cankles here, and then you've got, more yellow. And this water, people are just walking away. Like it's not, this is one of hope. This is one of basically giving up. Like there's no point in going on is what I'm feeling with this. And let's see. So that was those cards. And then whenever I started looking at these cards, because these were the worst nightmare and, checking out. Look at this. This is the person with the last 2 treatments that they're not going to get. With the hands holding, those scrolls in the hands. So, he's not going to get those 2 treatments. And then with this one, look at this. Here are the treatments he's finished. And then look, 1, 2, 3, the third sword up touches his head. And then there's these other 2 swords. And the reason that this is important, I will get to that. I will come back to this. Okay, but I just wanted to show you that even in this card, you've got 3 swords touching. So I'm seeing these, what is this, the 9? So these other treatments have been finished, but there's something that goes wrong with these last 3 treatments. I think it's the third to the last treatment, and he doesn't get the final 2. He doesn't get the final 2. He doesn't get the final 2. He doesn't get the final. Are you seeing the pattern here? Doesn't get the final 2. He doesn't get the final 2, and he doesn't get the final 2. Okay, so we've established that. So you see that how it's just so predominant when you look at that. It's like, oh my gosh. So with so yeah, that was the way that looked. And I did this practice reading, I don't know, Tuesday, maybe Monday or Tuesday this week. And there was reporting from the Daily Beast, I think, that Trump, whenever he was signing that legislation to reopen the government, he was hiding his right hand. And there was like, why? What? And so it's like, obviously he's getting some kind of medical treatment infusions, and they're, and Lion Caroline, it's in the name, Lion Caroline, she's not being honest. And so, yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, he's still having those infusions. I wonder where are we in the treatment plan? That's my question. Like, where are we in that treatment plan? And because it's the third to the last one is when, and I wonder if that was the third to the last one, because of then what came up whenever I was working on timing. Because that's the other thing I'm working on is timing. So then I was like, okay, well, this is all great. Timing. So what I got with the timing card was the 9 of Pentacles, the wealthy woman, the Page of Pentacles, or the Knight of Pentacles, and this is just, steady progress going forward, and then the High Priestess. Something, follow your instincts is kind of what I would say. Like, if I was just to read this, and if this was something about, health, I'd be like, you have a really good doctor who has really good ideas, and just trust your instincts with that. If you have a question, definitely, ask, because this is, you will get the right answer. The answers are there, but you have to ask the right questions. So definitely ask questions of your doctor about the treatment plan. Make sure that you feel comfortable going forward. Okay. However, I'm asking about time with this in health. The 9. So 9s are telling me that this is coming up to a completion. Okay. 10s are the completion of a cycle. So this is 9. We're getting close. And looky here. There are those 3 pentacles. And look at that. The hand was being hidden. And we just got that reporting saying that he was obvious that he was trying to hide his hand. And it's like, here, look at the pretty bird. Don't notice that my hand is covered. Look at this other bright, shiny object. And that was something, actually, I was like, oh my gosh, did you not see that? I told my husband, I was like, that was the reading. And look, this was the card that came up. So hiding the hand, 3 treatments that he's still not going to get. We are the 3 treatments here. And then the 9 coming up to a completion of a cycle. The Knight of Pentacles, slow and steady progress. The other thing, the black horse of death here with the water. Is that water? I can't tell. Nope, that's just the hills. Okay, that's just the ground here. Plowing the field. So he had a treatment plan that should have worked, but I'm also seeing this black and this dinge here as, did he do anything to help the treatment plan? No. To help this treatment plan, he needed to cut out the shit diet of the high sodium diet of McDonald's and Diet Coke. He needed to exercise more than, riding around in a golf cart, on his golf courses. And then the stress that he's allowed himself to be put into, which I guess, that's less stressful than, going to jail. So this black horse, what is the black horse here? What all encompasses this in this, in a health reading? And then, so like, you've got a treatment plan, but what are the possible pitfalls? And for him, we know he's not helping himself. And then look at the stingy green here. We had kind of a brighter green here of of hope, something that could work. And then here it's like it's not working. And this, whereas this looks like it's, they're put together, this looks kind of ratty. And I'm looking here. Oh yeah. Whatever this is, it's not as clean and crisp as this. This person has seen things, okay? This person has been through some stuff. And so then the High Priestess. The answers are there if you seek them. My mentor, Linda, when she talks about doing time in tarot, she says that the major arcana means like right now, immediate, paired with this, which is coming up to a cycle, finishing up a cycle, and that the treatment plan, and I've said that it's no longer working. He's not helping himself. And if you notice these colors of the sky, this is starting to get like, this isn't the bright happiness and hope cards that, we got here at the beginning. Okay. So just looking at how even the background is changing in these cards, and how they're pairing up together, and that progression to where eventually you get the dark storming clouds. Okay. And then, so I wanted to know a little bit more on time, and I went through each week, starting with this week. Here he is trying to hold on to political power. And the other thing that I noticed after the fact is congestive heart failure. There's this suspicion that he really, I have always felt he would have some kind, something with the brain, a stroke, brain bleed, hemorrhage, something like that. And then the cankles down here. So he knows, people see, this is what we see. We see his cankles. We know that, he's got all the symptoms of congestive heart failure. And then there's concerns about his brain. And then also the stroke that a lot of us have been picking up on. And the treatment plan probably, has something to do with the brain, the heart, and, the fluid buildup. Okay. So that's what this week is. And that, sitting on a throne of lies, trying to save his own political ass there. The next card, let me see how these, next week was the 7 of Swords. And with the 7 of Swords, look, here's the 2 that he's not in the damn circus. So I think we're coming up. So next week, so if yesterday, if he had that third to the last treatment, and that's why he was covering his hand, here's 2 that he's not going to get. And I don't know how often he's getting these transfusions. So whatever it is, and however often he's supposed to get them, I'm going to say these last 2 he's not going to get. And that could be like next week, like he's supposed to get them. And it's like, there's questions on whether he can even do it. And then the last week of November was the Karma card, the Wheel of Fortune. The reason I call this the Karma card is it's a movement card. It's just like what goes around comes around. It's also a cycle. It's complete. It can be like you're moving on your journey forward. Okay. The ruler of this card, and I'm bringing in astrology, is Jupiter. Jupiter is our card of expansion. It's our good luck card. In the lower energy, you reap what you sow. So that's kind of where, the Karma card is coming in with that. And then the final card that I got for timing was for the 1st of December. And this is something of substance being offered, a new plan going forward. But look back here. What I noticed back here was this circle here of follow the yellow brick road to another, a gateway to another, a portal to another world. And look at that. A gateway to another world. And even as I'm looking at, you've got the circle here with, the Wheel of Fortune. And even just now, as I'm looking at this, you've got the wreath here. So the next to the last treatment, whereas we thought it was going to work, it's actually, it's actually not going to, we're coming to completing the circle. Okay. And the cycle. That's what that is. And the Ace of Wands is also the beginning of something new. So, crossing over into like something new. Okay. So that is not boding well for his outlook in the health department. One more thing that I wanted to show you that stood out to me as I put these cards out. Oh, wow. And I'm still getting symbology now. And I swear, I watch these videos and I go back and it's like, how did I miss that? And I'm sitting here going, oh my God, I see that too here. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to point out is this. Okay, here we go. This wreath around his head, the victory laurels here. Notice how prominent that is. Like you can see it really well. So this is what they really expected victory. But how did this actually play out? It played out to where the last treatment, look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that. You can barely see that green band right there. We went from this to this. You can barely see it. And then that 5 of Swords, where that wreath should be, look at that. It's red, it's blood. So that is where all of that, so the progression, something that we thought was going to work, we thought there was going to be victory, he's not going to be able to finish it, because he doesn't make it. And then here you barely see that right there. It's starting to fade next to the last treatment. And here, that next to the last treatment, he has side effects. He has some pretty serious side effects. And then he doesn't finish the last two, and the storm clouds have gathered and people walk away. Okay, so with all of that, you can see now how much richer that reading just became. And I mean, it became a lot longer too. I wouldn't normally spend that much time, but as I said, I'm working on timing. I was working on health, and I was like, oh my God. And then there was that reporting that came out that said, Trump was hiding his hand. And I'm like, oh my God, he's there was all these cards showing, that this intravenous treatment plan that he's getting, and that he's not getting the last two treatments. So with what I got here, if I was going to be a betting person, do not use tarot to bet. I would say that, and the other thing with those Epstein files, it's exactly what I said. It's these little pieces. I'm going to be doing an Epstein. In fact, what is today? I'm recording this on Thursday. I'm not sure. This will come out on the weekend. I don't know what I'm going to put on Friday, but I'm definitely looking into the Epstein files. So if you haven't seen that reading yet, that'll be coming out soon. So I know this reading has gotten long, but that was the teaching portion of this that I just really wanted to go in depth and show you guys the symbology. And when you get into the symbology and what the pictures mean, you really get that rich, the rich details. And so, the original reading was yes, you're going to have a treatment plan. Yes, it looks like it's going to work. However, there's some things that, there's going to be some problems you might want to talk to your doctor about. What are the possible pitfalls to this treatment? What is it that you can do to help this treatment go forward? That's what I would say in a reading. However, because I'm practicing, I wanted to really look in, and with those details, I could be even more specific and say, it looks like the treatment plan will work, but towards the end, there's some things that are going to have to be changed for it to continue to work. But it really looks like it may be a long shot. So there may be is there a different treatment? I would go into a different direction with the reading at that point. So, but with this reading, as I said, it was for practice, but I got such great stuff out of it. I wanted to share with you guys. So, if you guys have skipped over the whole teaching tarot part, I am now going to settle into just doing a reading on the Trump health. If you're just now joining me, the previous teaching reading that I went through, real brief, was it looks as though whatever the treatment plan, I've been saying whatever the treatment plan is, it's not working. And in that previous teaching video that I just went through, it looks like the third to the last treatment, he's not going to be, he will, he probably finishes that, but then he has side effects and he doesn't finish those last two treatments, the infusions. And it looks like and I've always gotten that he would have a stroke. And now you've got the stress of the Epstein files, and those two things have always been linked when I do readings. It's I feel like there's Epstein stuff, and I've always felt like he hears about something, he has a health event, and then we find out whatever it was he heard about. It's real quick succession there. And I mean, the heat's really picking up there on the Epstein files. So I just want to do a base reading looking into what do we need to know about Trump's health today. Okay. As always, this is for entertainment purposes only. Even the stuff before that was teaching tarot video for entertainment purposes only. Okay, so base reading into Trump's health today. What do we need to know today about Trump's health? And I just want to make sure, for entertainment purposes only, even the teaching example I gave earlier, entertainment only, be entertained. Okay, the center of this, something, you guys, the 3. Here's the 2 here, here's the 1 person, and then the 3. So the third to the last treatment he'll get, the final 2 he won't get. Okay, I just noticed that right there. So let's keep going. And he's even holding, this person's even holding something in their hand right here. They're holding something in their hand. Where am I at? Yeah, this one, holding something in his hand. So those intravenous treatments. Trying to hold on. And the challenge is, the reason he's not getting those, the last 2, and I'm going to say the last 2 to 3 treatments, the reason he's not getting those is because of the side effects. He's having problems with his brain. If that's not the biggest understatement of the day, he's having problems with his heart. He's having problems with his ankles. The treatments aren't working, and he's not helping himself. So this is, the challenge is, it's not working. It's affecting all, I mean, it's like system shutdown. That's what I'm seeing with this. Okay. And then the swords are going to be anything medical, anything legal, and military in action. And as I explained in the teaching portion of this, there's only 4 suits. And so each suit is going to have to encompass a lot of possibilities. Since I'm doing a health reading, this is going to be the medical. And so I'm seeing this as like new beginnings with medical. Like it's almost like a heroic measures, that final last ditch effort. That's what I'm kind of feeling with this. And notice the sword is coming up through the crown, which would be setting on the head. So once again, medical treatment involving something, you know, like a stroke, TIA, brain bleed, you know, whatever you want to call it. I'm just looking here. Oh, and then that in the teaching video, remember on the 6 of Wands, they were he was wearing that the wreath, the laurel victory wreath, and look at that. That looks like it's all just been undone. Like that wreath has been thrown to the ground and has been stomped all over. Okay, it's no longer a victory wreath. Okay, and there's medical intervention that has to do with his brain. Or there's concerns about his brain. There's a lot of concerns about his brain. The foundation, oh my gosh. That's pretty self-explanatory. That the foundation of this, the recent or the past experiences, and let me look here at this. Yeah, I'm looking at this, and the way these are kind of grouped, okay, so the way these are grouped together, you've got like a bunch here, and then there was a treatment, and then there's 2 kind of here, and then here. So these 4, you know, like these are all together, and then these 4 here are kind of more haphazard. So he's not doing well with the treatments, and obviously the treatments will be coming to an end. The calm waters here, because there's no more. And then here's the dark clouds that are they coming in or are they subsiding? The disappointment, and once again, the 3 treatments, and then the last 2 treatments that he won't get. And then I know that Libby reads this as the Minor Arcana Death card. I don't always, I actually don't read it that way at all. I think the 10 of Swords and the 4 of Swords to me is more that. This is disappointment, and then the hope of those last 2 not going to happen. Here's a bridge going over the river Styx, you know, going to cross the bridge. So I guess in that way, this could be seen as a support card for what I see as, you know, the coming to an end. Okay. And then those treatments that aren't going to work. And then the final outcome is, of course, he's the final outcome. The King of Cups, the Mad King Dawn. And here, what stood out to me as soon as I saw this was this 1 foot hanging off the edge here. And he's getting ready to dip his foot into the great beyond. Okay, let me see what else I see in this. And here he is holding a scepter in that hand. So I'm going to see this as really hoping that the medicine that he's taking works, and then the medicine that he's getting in his hand. So there's the medicine, and here he is stepping off into the great beyond, and that the troubled waters. The troubled waters. I was trying to see what that is. That's a ship back there. So his ships, the ships that he was waiting in the previous reading, the ships that he was waiting for to come in, he's now hit troubled water. He's getting ready to be dethroned off of this this shaky platform that's just out in the middle of the ocean. So yeah, that's where that is. So that is how he's doing today. This paired really nicely with the other reading that I did. And so, yeah, I think that the end is nigh. So, fingers crossed that we can make it through this next these next few weeks, because I do feel like we do get on the other side of this, but there's a lot of chaos in the meantime, and we're just now, like, you thought it was chaotic before. Wait until those Epstein files start coming out. I couldn't even, yesterday it was just like news notification after news notification about, and it was all about the Epstein, those emails is what came out yesterday, and it's just gearing up. It's not going to go away. And I've been saying that. So, yeah, I will keep watching this. I will keep doing readings on this. I really do appreciate you sticking in here with me, especially through that teaching part of that. I just wanted to show you guys kind of how you can go from, a pretty good reading into really a rich, detailed reading. And so that's kind of what the goal of the class is going to be with that. So, reminder, if you're interested in the class, send me an email. I've got my email in the description, or, post down there, hey, I'm interested, but I still need the email. Still email me so that I can kind of have that list to let you guys know, okay, this is kind of what I'm seeing and how this is going to progress. Your input on that, and kind of, it's not a commitment, it's just an interest. So don't worry, you don't have to commit. I just am wanting to know the interest and kind of some feedback on some things that I'm thinking about doing. So thank you very much for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. I will catch you on the next reading. Have a great day.